What's up, everybody? I don't know why it does that. It's supposed to transition fully in there. Either way, still trying to work out these kinks on this new system. Regardless, though, people, hey, it's your host, both Chris's, right? Chris Griffin, Horns Down Podcast, Chris Mason, Sooners 360. Go check out both of the channels. Go check out all the content that we pump out for you. Definitely like and subscribe. Go ahead, get those channels over a thousand subscribers. Regardless, though, we are pumping out content and we are doing our damn thing. People are loving this right here, and I really, really love this show that we do on Monday nights for you people. It is a recruiting podcast. We do have some high school notes for you, but we'll say those for the end of the show because obviously, right now we are in the midst of portal comeback. Right, it's on the or excuse me, Portal Combat Eve. It's not Portal Combat just yet. So the tournament has not started, and we will get into that. There are obviously a lot of different things, a lot of different angles we can go through. But with Chris Mason here, I guess the first thing we should talk about, obviously, are the portal exits. We got a couple of exits thus far. Not just Jaden Gibson, not just Kendall Dolby. Obviously, we know that those came down the line, but I think the bigger news right now is, I guess we can start with Kobe McKenzie, Chris Mason. We can go down the line.
Yeah, Kobe McKenzie has indicated he's entering the portal. Um, I would imagine he's going to end up somewhere like Texas Tech. That's what the rumor mill is saying. I think this is a case of Kobe being able to get more money externally than internally, and wanting to have a clearer path to starting and more reps. His reps kind of dropped a little bit as the year went on. He was obviously hurt too, but I think that's why Kobe's looking to hit the portal, have an extra season to establish himself, maybe improve his NFL grade. But I think that's why he moved on. Four senior linebackers was always going to be tough to make work, not really sustainable for OU from a developmental standpoint. And the four guys I'm talking about who would be in seniors in 2026 would have been Kobe, Owen Heineke if he gets his waiver, Kip Lewis if he returns, and Sam Omosigho if presuming Sam comes back for his senior year. Sam never redshirted, so he's in the same linebacker group as Kanik was, Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis. So I think OU just had to make a decision about which linebacker they want to keep. If they can bring back Owen Heineke, I think they'd love to do that. And I think they're probably rallying right now a R. Mason Thomas like package for Kip Lewis.
Sure.
And then you bring Sam Masigo up, and we'll see what it will. How we've got some linebacker names to discuss.
Hey,
We
you
can
cut
talk.
out for a second. You said bring Omiosigo up, and that's where you cut off.
Sorry, that's Sam Masigo. Obviously, he's back for his senior year. Then you've got James Nesta, who's a redshirt sophomore next year. He'll be in year three. He's quit baseball, so I think they want to elevate him and get him going. Obviously, Marcus James from Midwest City redshirted this year. He's a big time athlete. You want to kind of want him going. Taylor Heim is kind of a wild card in all of this. Is he a cheetah? Is he a will linebacker? What can you do with him? And we do have some linebackers in the portal to discuss that appear to have made some connections with OU.
So we'll get to those here in a second. So obviously, Kobe McKenzie, leaving, but I've heard as much as there's still talks going on because he's a guy that I could see. Hey, it was something I thought about, but this is home. This is where I want to be at. He's that kind of guy. I could still see it swinging our way, but at the same time, if he's got to do what's best for him, he's got to do what's best for him. Another thing I would say coming into the season, now I did not see Heineke having a year that he did.
No
wasn't
one, no,
necessarily
no, no one
wasn't
did.
necessarily on my radar, but I know I had a friend. Shout out to Brandon Bustle, the driest ribs in America. But he hit me up. He said, "Hey man," he said, "I'm really worried about our linebacker core outside of Kobe and Kip. Man, we're really young, this and that." And I said, "Look, I knew we were going to take some lumps with Sammy O, but I also knew that Sammy O was going to be pretty damn good too. And I'm excited to see can he mentally get everything to click for him because that guy has a lot of potential. But you have him, you have potentially Kip Lewis. But again, I feel like either Nesta or James are going to pop, right? Obviously, you're going to talk about some names here in the portal that that we're potentially connected to, but at the same time, the Heineke. Reason why I go back to the Heineke name is because um, they've proven each year the corner room, Guillory, right? Eli Bowen late last season, right? They've proven time and time again that hey, just give us time to develop, and we'll get you a guy out there that you guys are going to like. Hell, you can go as far as Taylor Wine too, right? A lot of people had him on their radar. Not too many people were like, "Oh, he's going to have the season that he had this year." So that's something to think about as well. I think D line wise, that takes a lot of pressure off of what's going on. I think you're excited to see what Marcus Strong could be. Can he be Dejon Terry 2.0 or can he be 2.5 of that, which I think he could. A Nigel Smith, that's a guy who I'll be honest with you. We all love G Baby, but I think Nigel Smith may have a higher ceiling than G Baby. So it's a lot. It's a lot of great things that are happening on that defensive line that
Yeah,
are going to
Trent Wilson.
yeah, they're going to allow you the time that you need to get those linebackers, situated. But I trust the staff, I trust the defense, but you still are going to be a bit thin. As far as other portal exits, I think we had one off the offensive line today, right, Chris Mason?
Well, let's just sort of go in order. Yeah. So let's go in order of the guys that played. So Kobe McKenzie was a co-starter. We unexpected loss, but it makes sense depending upon what else happens and how OU's running their roster, right? So then Caden Helms entered the portal, which I think is a clear indication that OU is looking to, for lack of a better term, upgrade the tight end room completely.
Yeah.
Because he was the most effective blocker. I mean, of the tight end room returning, of the guys that could return, Caden Helms is the only guy that I think really got a snap or a start. Obviously, Carson Kent did too, but I kind of suspect he might be in the portal. I think this is a complete reset of the tight end room. If you're wondering, I don't know, Chris, to me, this sort of also says that maybe we're seeing a change in coach there at some point. That if you're clearing out the room, that would make sense. That you're going to bring in portal guys and you're going to bring in a new tight end coach. To me, that's the first thing that leaped to me when I saw Caden Helms entering, because he played hard. He was an asset. He did what he could for the team this year. And he's been injured 2 years, so I think Caden's making the right move. Go somewhere else, see if you can get healthier, get more playing time, and see if the next 2 years you can rehab and get back, rehab some speed and see if you can get some agility back. But he needs to play, and I think OU was very up clear in front with him that they're bringing in talent. They're bringing in guys, and he wasn't going to have playing time at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah Autry-Dent, I don't mean to be mean, but you can't make the club from the tub. Yeah. And we needed O-line help this year. We could have used an O-line. We could have used an extra young offensive lineman making a move. If you play Foji at right tackle, Fasusi at left tackle, Isaiah Autry-Dent is ahead of those guys from a classification standpoint, and he's behind them in development. I mean, this is a lost year for him completely. He just lost this year completely, and he was hurt in spring and summer, so he just lost this year completely. So he needs to go somewhere else, play. Last year there was a hint that some other schools were willing to poach him. I think this injury year is going to hurt his marketability, but I think OU is very clear. This is the number we have for you. I think Marcus and his representation Isaiah and his representation probably said, well, we think we can get this on the open market. And I think Jim Nagy was like, well, good, congratulations and good luck. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the GM making financial estimates based upon people's potential and their worth and their playing time. And we're going to see more portal transfers based upon those conversations.
So just keep staying in line on just two things I really want to point out real quick. So I know we got some questions about um, Amarian Robertson and Marcus Strong, and then also I would like to go back to that tight end room and just visit. What are your thoughts about McIntyre?
I would guess McIntyre is gonna be in the portal. He's not. He is not. He did not make a meaningful snap this year, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
he barely played last year. He's undersized as well, so I don't think. I I'm not talking bad about anybody, but he was kind of a gamble when they signed him.
yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
more effective at linebacker and maybe edge coming out of high school. Played in a really low district in Nebraska and was kind of Joe John Finley had missed out on all of his real tight end targets and kind of offered him as a flyer. So he was a project, and when projects aren't developing, I think you have to know when to cut strings.
All right. So just about the other two names that I named on defense, you got Amari and Robertson. I know a lot of people are trying to tie him back to Arkansas, and then Marcus Strong as well. Probably getting some decent offers to, hey, you could start here, right?
Well, this is the problem. OU's established elite depth, right? Which means they're too deep at positions. Have been playing lots of folks. They got Amarian Robinson on the field. He has a world of potential. Ja'Cory Smith, who I think he kind of knew from playing their playing days in Arkansas. OU moved away from him, and he went to Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I think Amarian, didn't play with. I'm not sure if he knows the Matthew Nelson as well as he knew Ja'Cory Smith. So you got that connection, and he's probably going to split playing time at safety with Peyton Bowen and Michael Boganowski. So and maybe Jaden Hardy, who might also be getting some offers as well, just because teams are gonna. This is where kids are gonna have to make an interesting decision. Do you go elsewhere and have the possibility of your development stopping, regressing, and being on teams that aren't going to win, or do you stay at Oklahoma, continue? Topher B's correct there. That's the story. Do you stay at Oklahoma on a deeper developing roster that's going to be playing bigger and better football games? So it's tough, money talks, and we knew that teams would become poaching. I mean, we're going to protect David Stone and Jaden Jackson, but we're not going to protect. You can't protect Marcus Strong the same way. He doesn't have the same development on the field. So but if I'm Marcus, are you willing to walk away from Todd Bates' development that he's done with you over the last 2-3 years? I wouldn't. I wouldn't risk that to go somewhere else and be coached by someone you don't know. That's
Well, not only that, but it's just a simple fact of you're going to be heavy in that rotation, and guys are going to be nicked up and this and that, but you're going to be heavy in that.
he's a co-starter. I mean,
Yeah.
OU's established that they're going to do co-starters on the line, at safety, and at linebacker. So
Yeah.
it's going to be can OU balance the numbers enough to make sure that there's that they don't lose some of these key defensive depth pieces.
Well, the whole thing is that yeah, you're going to go into the portal. Yes, you're paying some guys currently. They're going to stay on the roster. You're going to have to retool some things, maybe for Kip, guys like that. But at the same time, um, I don't know, just something different about this team, something different about the staff. They connect. They'll figure it out. I think they're going to keep
On defense, especially, I think
especially. Yeah,
I think Nagy will once Nagy gets an idea of some real numbers from some folks, he's ready to do some adjustments, keep some guys, talk to some representation and parents, explain, look, you're you're okay, you're a backup safety next year, 2027, you're starting for us.
yeah,
And then you get drafted like Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen, Mike Boganowski. You're going to get drafted, like these guys.
yeah.
So, and once you have the draft evidence, I think it's an easier sell. But we're just a little bit in that in between point. And if you know, and let's just call it what like it is. If you have a terrible defense in college football, grabbing a couple of Oklahoma guys seems like backup guys who are really good seems like a real easy solution.
Yeah. All right, Chris Mason, let's keep it moving. Let's go ahead and move to portal targets.
All right, so the two most obvious ones, we know OU's going to sign several tight ends. That's pretty much established out there. And there's two tight end targets right now in the portal to keep an eye on. The first one is Hayden Hanson from Florida. He's 6'7", 270. He's as close as you can get to Brody Eldridge as possible. He solves all of OU's blocking issues at tight end. Inline, huge guy, hammers people. And OU is apparently very much involved in that. Then Rocky Beers just hit the portal. He's a senior. He's related to the Reagan Beers, who's on the basketball team. She's a senior too, but he's from Colorado State. He's 6'5", 250. He had a pretty good year at Colorado State. So those are two names to consider right now. Names not in the portal that would be interesting if they did enter would be Cooper Alexander from Iowa State. A lot of connections. OU seems to be the running favorite for his brother Case in the 2027 class. So that would be an interesting guy. He's 6'4", 245, 250, good two-way tight end, and has been coached up at Iowa State like Iowa State's tight end factory they have kind of going there. So that would be two names at tight end to think about. So in terms of that, Hollywood Smothers at running back has hit the portal. There's some rumblings that he's open to coming back to OU at the running back spot. Chris, I think based upon everything we've seen this fall, Taylor Tatum's entering the portal. I mean, he got healthy and he didn't do anything.
Here's the interesting part, and I think I said this on the show last night, kind of the recap pod or the relapse pod, right? uh, Regardless, I said about Taylor Tatum was, hey man, you really don't know what you have with him, and it's not necessarily the fault of the staff because he was injured all year. But again, the thing is that has he improved? Is he still fumbling the football? Is he still having issues there? Are things clicking? What kind of back does he look like in the system now behind this offensive line? We know the guy has talent, but has it developed, right? So you don't know, and it's almost kind of like the Dent situation where you feel like he's lost a year, of good development, right? So I just don't know necessarily what.
I mean, he redshirted. I mean, he did that. I mean, he didn't play enough, so he obviously redshirted this year.
And that's perfectly fine. It's just that still,
But we don't know anything more about him.
you're still going back to that game, and I hate to bring this up, people, Chris Mason, but again, X Rod was hurt. I think it was clear to me when I saw him, trying to run this and that, and love Blaylock, but Blaylock is your change of pace back. And I think that you can make him that. I think next year you're telling him, hey, run the space, don't run to everybody, right? But
Yeah.
regardless, though, Javonte Barnes did not play. Ott did not play. Tatum did not play. And these guys are basically DNPs, right? They're healthy scratches. So I don't know what else you want. I mean, that was a hell of a game that they played, but my goodness, having a run game would have stabilized some things and would have slowed things down, opposed to just trying to press and run material the entire time. And I agree with what you said a while ago, which is a better run game next year can help Mateer be a better quarterback next year because it limits a lot of the stuff that he has to do, a lot of stuff that's on his plate. You bring a Smothers back in. The only question is, obviously he went and got 1,100 yards this year. We know the type of back. We know the type of talent he is. I know when he and Caleb Hicks committed here, I know that I was more of a Hicks fan, and my uncle's like, no, Smothers is the truth. He's like, that guy has the total package. So it's one of those things where he put it together out there. If he can come back here in the SEC and do it, great. But we got to have somebody. I think honestly, Chris Mason, you got to go and look at maybe two running backs, and you go and get one that you feel is a home run hitter, proven production, fits the culture. Both of them fit the culture and is going to actually produce, right? Because we all know, I think a healthy X Rod, we love a healthy X Rod. We like a healthy Blaylock, but I think you got to go get one that you think, hey, these are our three guys, but we're going to get this other one, this fourth guy, or this second guy as insurance, just in case we have to make sure we have to develop Hatton and the Walker kid for a year or so, right? So I mean,
Well, I think you need to running backs. I'm a strong believer in the cliche from my one of my Sooner friends. If your dog's gonna bite, it bites as a puppy, and he refers to that. That's the rule of thumb for running backs. If your running backs are gonna click and hit, they do it as freshmen, generally speaking.
yeah,
So I think you Hatton and Walker, they'll have X Rob and Blaylock are looking at surgeries. So you need at least one back to a feature back for spring, and the two freshmen can get all kinds of reps.
yeah,
So I don't disagree. Two backs might make sense. I don't know what they're doing with Andy Bass, and let's just clarify why Smothers left. It was family problems back in North Carolina. He wanted to stay, but with the year we had in 2024, which was so bad, and his lack of playing time and all that. I mean, his lack of playing time. Remember, he enrolled early, he enrolled late, and he enrolled early, but he missed his senior year. He was ineligible his senior year of high school.
yeah,
So that is a little bit of the Smothers background on why how he didn't get him on the field. He flashed when he came in a couple of times when he played, but overall. I think Smothers would be a guy to come back. There's some other running backs in the portal. I've not heard any connection with OU with them. There's some more names, that are rolling in. But that's the one running back name. The two names at wide receiver that have had clear links. And remember, don't talk to me about Cam Coleman, Dallas Wilson, any of these guys, because they're not in the portal yet. Okay? I don't know if they are going to be, but they're not in the portal yet. All right? So two guys that are in the portal that seem to have some buzz with OU, Amarian Miller from Colorado and Nico Brown from Yale. Before you said Yale, the kid had 1,100, 1,200 yards there, multiple, nearly double-digit TDs. He's from California. We got some connections with Stacy Ford there. And Amarian Miller, OU's already seems to have made some connections there in terms of reaching out for him. He got 800 yards and on a terrible Colorado team with a terrible offense and a terrible quarterback rotation. So that's good. There's an offensive lineman from Texas State, Telek Lockett, who OU's been hinted at. He's a big offensive guard, 6'3", 320. I mentioned the Wake Forest defensive tackle last week, Mateen Ibarogba. And then from NC State, there's a big defensive tackle, Justin Terrell. He's a redshirt freshman this year. So he'll be a redshirt sophomore at OU next year. He has 3 years to play. He's from Rome, Georgia. He's 6'4", 315. So he would be somebody who you could bring in and develop if you wanted to. There's a couple other. There's no defensive end name that's really being connected to OU yet. I do think OU will probably look at defensive end, although you've got younger depth and more numbers there, especially with Jake Krell enrolling early. There's a big safety from Notre Dame that hit the portal, Jaden Blair, 6'5", 215. Nick Marsh is a name. I just wonder if Nick Marsh is going to leave like the Big Ten area. That's where he's from. OU did try and recruit him out of high school, but he's kind of a Big Ten kind of guy. That's what I would see there. So Jaden Blair, again, he could be perhaps a future cheetah. He's a big safety. Physically fits in what Kendall Daniels was coming out of high school. So if you wanted to get another developmental Kendall Daniels, guys, I talked about Beers a little while ago. If you're getting in late. Rocky Beers is a tight end that OU probably will take a look at. He's 6'5", 250 from Colorado State. That's Rocky Beers. So if you're posting beers in the comments, we already talked about him. Okay, he's in play because OU looks like they're going to add three tight ends. I thought if Helms stayed, it was two, but with Helms gone, I think it's three tight ends that they're going to look to add from the portal. So they're obviously doing heavy work in the portal at tight end. But Chris, I think the line OU may need a linebacker or two, and the linebacker room, the linebacker portal group is really very talented at this point.
Yeah.
You have Austin Romaine from K State. You have Ray Coney from Tulsa, who had a fantastic big year at Tulsa. You have Keaton Thomas from Baylor, who OU's already looking into. There you go. Keaton Thomas from Baylor just entered today. He's a really good linebacker with 2 years. He had a big season at Baylor. Owen Long at Colorado State has been thrown around. He had a big season at Colorado State. Kamori House from North Carolina. OU wanted him out of high school. Tried to get him out of the portal, but North Carolina was kind of throwing money around. Obviously, 1 year in the nut house that is the Belichick and now Petrino regime was enough for him.
Good hire.
So, sure, yeah, all right.
Keep it going, keep it going.
So Kamori House would be a guy who usually looks at. He's kind of more of a Kip Lewis replacement. And then they've been there are following connections with Gideon ESPN Lampron from Bowling Green. Big linebacker from there. There's also a linebacker from Memphis. His last name is Russo. Memphis has lost a bunch of players to the portal, defensive players who had good stats. I don't know if they're SEC good, but good stats. There was a defensive end they've lost that maybe OU could maybe look at, but that's where we are this early, knowing that OU needs a linebacker, a tight end, and an offensive lineman.
So, out of the linebackers that you named right now, who I mean, obviously, I think everybody knows. It's not a secret that I think the Kamori House kid is probably the one that is on, I think, everybody's radar. Not talking about nationally. I'm sure there are plenty of other teams who are trying to suit him as well. But um, if you've been following everybody who's talking recruiting and portal and all the rest of this stuff, you know that's a name that's been thrown out there. So obviously, outside of him, who else do you think OU is truly connected to?
Well, it's early, but I think Ray Coney from Tulsa and Keaton Thomas from Baylor make a lot of sense
Yeah.
from that standpoint. Now, I've got the rumor buzzing around that doesn't seem to have any real connections to it yet is Sammy Brown from Clemson going to hit the portal?
I can't even talk about that. I'm not even going to waste.
Neither am I. I'm like, okay, yeah. Fantasy land, yeah, sure. But we'll. Clemson's going through some upheaval again. I mean, they're losing some kids, and Dabo is maintaining his weird portal stance. If we're in fantasy land, yeah, he's. If we lose our three linebackers, if you ask me, who would you love to hit the portal to help with that? The number one name I would say would be Sammy Brown. Yeah, he probably would go to Georgia, although Georgia's loaded at linebacker. Why would you go to Georgia? He has more connections with Clemson and with Brent than he does Georgia. He just, he's from the Athens area, so maybe that's why. But that's right now where we stand today with three guys gone and no offers made and no visits being scheduled yet. Those are the names that seem to be in play.
So just real quick, so we can keep moving on because we got one last big fish to fry. But how close do you think we are to one knowing the fate? Where Kip Lewis is going, and then two, also with Owen Heineke. Obviously, it's the NCAA. Like I said before, and I'll make this joke, and I know it's been resolved, but I'm going to make the joke anyways, Chris Mason. I'm still waiting for the NCAA to clear Trajan Bridges. I still am. The NCAA is literally, it would be better to go to Magic 8 Ball opposed to going to the NCAA. Go
So
for it.
obviously, Owen Heineke has got a Senior Bowl slot lined up, right?
Uh huh.
Nagy's taking care of our guys and getting Senior Bowl spots for them if they need them. Okay. I think Heineke may file a lawsuit if his waiver is denied,
Yeah.
and take it to court and see if he can push something through that way. So we'll see about that. Kip Lewis, if you're OU and you're kind of reviewing everything, I think you're trying to put a final offer together for Kip and trying to get the most accurate NFL information for Kip so he can truly evaluate that offer versus going to the NFL, like Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's fighting over a week. Now, Mateer leaving for the NFL seems silly based upon our
That was the
fans.
last topic. You gotta let me. You gotta give me a chance to
All
get
right, all
this
right, all
there.
right.
My
Well,
gosh.
but I got a major recruiting nugget for us as well at the end. So
Hey,
all
look,
right,
I got you, but you got it. You gotta let me. You
all
gotta
right,
let
all
me
right, all
finish
right, all
it,
right, all right.
please. Don't jumble it up.
All
Okay,
right.
Miss Mason, you already let the cat out of the bag. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, so I think there's a chance Mateer will go pro based upon the feedback he's getting from the NFL and the terrible QB class that's projected to go into the court. I mean, to
Yes,
go in the draft.
Sellers, Arch. A lot of those guys obviously are not
Ty
declared.
Simpson saying some of those guys can't go,
Yeah.
some of them aren't going to go. So Lagway, if Lagway can put it all together wherever he ends up, then he vaults up the board. So there's meanwhile, the 2026 QB draft class is terrible. It's Mendoza and a 5 or 6 franchises praying Dante Moore goes in the draft. And he may wait another year because of the whole Dante's people are very much fixated on if you start 25 games in college, your success rate in the NFL is much higher than if you start 20 or less. Okay?
Hit
So,
the like button, people. Hit it, man. Hit
yeah.
it. I'm just saying, hit the damn thing, man. Come on.
And I
I,
think there is you're like, well, his mechanics are terrible and all that. Well, yeah, okay. But can he fix that in the college game rather than spending 6 months in a QB lab with a guru guy? Right? Doing the Josh Allen thing. If guys don't
we're
remember
talking about
Josh,
material, right?
yeah, but it's here. If you remember Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming, terrible senior year. His mechanics were crap, but they liked the intangibles. They liked his size. They liked his playmaking skills. And the Buffalo Bills basically fixed him. So,
So, so my point with that is, I was talking to my uncle. I think it was last night or whenever we last spoke, and I told him, I said, "Hey, man," I said, Chris Mason had a good point. I think you said it offline, but you were like, Mateer is a guy that you go and put out there with McVay and with the Rams, right? You go out there with the 49ers with Shanahan. You go out there with um, Broncos with Sean Payton and all the rest of them, all right? Hopefully he's still there. I don't know. But regardless, though, he's a guy that you hide out and you basically develop him and you say, hey, the kid has all the rest of the stuff. But it makes sense because then you say, hey, this is not the Dallas Cowboys who are like the Lakers who are in win now mode every single year and not let's develop and get guys ready and this and that, right? It's like, hey, boom or bust, right?
yeah.
So he's a guy that you could you can hide out. Don't go put him with Andy Reid and all the rest of them and stuff like that just because, oh, well, he throws sidearm. He does. No, that's not necessarily what you want to have success. Go put him with Jim Harbaugh, right? Baltimore Ravens. They drafted Nick Sorley. They drafted guys similar to what Mateer is and what Mateer can do. And they've tried to put him in a program, put guys like that in a program, their program, to get him ready. But those are offenses that I think one fit his game, but also give him a chance to develop under some really good quarterback coaches, quarterback gurus, offensive coordinators. And if he's lucky, maybe he'll have a vet that wants to actually show him the ropes too, while he's doing his thing. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Brock
mean,
Purdy, guys like that, right?
yeah, you look at the NFL, there is a scarcity of QB talent, right? And you want two clear examples of this. Philip Rivers is playing for the Colts
Yeah.
after 5 years sitting on a couch, and Quinn Ewers is going to start for the Dolphins. And Ewers was drafted in what, sixth round, something like that. I mean, there's a dearth of talent. If there are intangibles that Mateer has that I think we can all acknowledge, or that are he's a leader, he's a competitor. There's some of the mental stuff he's got in spades,
Hmm.
and then you figure if you can fix some of the if you're an NFL guy, get him a guru. 6 months of nothing but football and throwing the ball, no classes, spring practice, working out with our offense. Seventh round for yours, yeah, Jimmy. Maybe I was a little kind to him. You do those things. So I think there is a chance that Mateer's representation get a guarantee from an NFL GM that they will pick him in the third round. If you come out, we'll pick you in the third round.
So Chris Mason, I'm going to ask a question. You already answered this in a roundabout way last episode that we did with Jason, and I thought it was a beautiful point because it's kind of it's a two-part question, but I'm gonna put this out here in the chat. Okay, so once that pops up, there we go, right there. So the first part of the question is, do you want Mateer back? Second part of the question, and you answer both sides all the way through. And this is a question for the chat: is it cheaper to keep her, as Johnny Taylor would say, or do you even want him back? Do you think it's time for OU and for Mateer? It worked in parts, it worked in bunches. I'm still a fan of Mateer, but is it time for this relationship to progress towards separation, like a healthy separation? Go, Chris Mason.
If you can get
Jason is not on here. I'm sorry, Chris Mason. I'm gonna let you cook. Jason's not on here. Shout out to Jason though. Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason and the coach. Shout out
Yeah,
to my
we're broadcasting to his channel, so
that is true.
if you at OU, if you believe through the portal and through the talent on campus that you can get a sustained running game to support him, I would bring back Mateer. If you're concerned that if you're worried about that ability, that project, off-season project, and you think you're going to need to be a more efficient, short passing team, then I think you might want to move on.
Say that again, Chris Mason. Say that one more time.
And if you don't think you can get this sustained running game to support him, sustained SEC running game to support him, then and you think you're going to need to be more of a controlled short passing game team, and can go that route with some elite weapons, some elite slot guys, and do some more of the true air raid, high percentage passing game. That if you think that's your route, if that's the route you think you're going to have to go, then I think you would want to move on from Mateer and find someone from the portal that you scouted and evaluated that you think can be a 70% passer.
So pause real quick, Chris Mason. Lone Wolf, look, why bring in a running back and you don't run the ball? Our running backs are injured this year. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is that injuries did hit us in certain spots this year in a bad way, and running back was one of those. And unfortunately, injuries hit us. Guys made business decisions for themselves, rightfully so. Whatever the case may be, it is what it is. We had 5 running backs that most likely would have played. And I think that if everything would have went perfect, you would have had Ott out there doing what he's doing. Then you would have been able to sprinkle in X Rob here and there. You would have had your Thunder and Lightning that way. In a good world, not the ideal one, but the good one, not the perfect one, right? You would have had Javante Barnes being able to produce somewhat on the ground. You would have had X Rob healthy and be able to do what he did, and then be able to have a change of pace back with the Blaylocks of the world. in a bad world, this is the result that you got. I don't think it was necessarily us not trying to run the ball, but I think that they had to figure things out. And I think that obviously you could say, yeah, Arbuckle loves the +1 run game with Mateer and all the rest of that. But I think that became a big part simply because offensive line was a little bit, you were shuffling and all the rest of that. And I think that you fixed that for the most part. Got to get you a guard, unless Afalava or somebody else wants to step up and take that spot. But regardless, though, Chris Mason, I mean, I just, I get where you're coming from, Lone Wolf, and I don't disagree with you to a certain point. But on the other hand, I think that was also something that plagued us. But Chris Mason, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Is that the continuity? It makes more sense because of the money. Because if
Fixed. He's a fixed cost.
uh huh,
You have a fixed. There's all this BS going around that you've got a fixed cost on material. You've got a 2nd-year contract with him. That's the amount of money you're going to pay him. Okay. And they're talking about the top quarterbacks in the portal are going to get like 3.5, 4 million this year. It's just crazy. It's crazy numbers.
hold on,
Just,
Jason is in. Jason said bye. Jason, get out of here, Jason. Anyways, keep going.
but so you've got a fixed cost with Mateer, which makes him attractive to build around him, get playmakers around him, fix a tight end room, get a receiver or two or three, get a running back, bring in, get our running backs healthy. We got a good freshman class of running backs. All of that extra pieces, better pieces, will make Mateer a better quarterback. So, so that's where I think the value in Mateer. There's a value in keeping Mateer beyond just. There's a dollar number value, guys. There's a dollar numbers behind everything. If you're gonna wonder why some guys are hitting the portal, it's because Nagy probably looks at their performance and their contribution and says, "You're only worth X," and they say, "Well, I can get more than that elsewhere." Congratulations, son. Here's some lovely parting gifts. You're welcome to go do that.
But Chris Mason, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I mean, at the end of the day, I get what you're saying, fixed costs, because we're hearing numbers of $5 million for some quarterbacks, and you're just like, that he's not worth that.
Well, he's not,
No, not material. I'm talking about other
No.
quarterbacks.
I mean, any of the guys being mentioned for it aren't worth that.
And I love me some Rocco Beck. I would take Sam Levitt, DJ Lagway, sign me up. But at
But
But
yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
same time, in a perfect world, I think you put it like this: in a perfect world, you would have it to where a Lagway, a Levitt came, and you had an open competition for Mateer, him, and maybe Hawkins if Hawkins decided to stay if they brought in another quarterback. But the whole thing is that now that's just money all tied up in one spot, and you're trying to figure out guys, right? Yeah, you do have the spring session to where they could transfer in the spring or whatnot, but that's still very costly, right? So,
well,
at,
there is no spring transfer portal.
oh no, there's just that one period. So yeah, you can't mess
You got to
this
get
up.
it right. You got to get it right in January.
Yeah.
You don't have a chance. You don't have the reset in March after spring ball where you're like, oh man, that QB suck.
So I guess
You're sunk.
so. Yeah, no. So I guess the question. I mean, well, the thing is still he had. I hate that it's close to holidays and maybe they still wait on him and Kip to make a decision, but you kind of need a decision right now, don't you, to go ahead and because I'll be honest with you, I do feel as though obviously Miami is going to be there. There's going to be a number of teams, but I think the Lagways and the Levitts are monitoring all situations because you know what? LSU, Kiffin could go bring in another quarterback, which I think he'd be fine with Michael Van Buren. But at the same time, if Chambliss it does get another year of eligibility and is able to and enters the portal, I think he's going there. Hell, I can see Austin Simmons going down there, but still, um, I think guys are monitoring that situation. But going back to one of your first points that you made with the material conversation is we're talking fantasy land right now because you believe in your heart of hearts that he's going pro.
I think the argument will be made by his representation that that is that I think an NFL GM with how bad the quarterback situation is in the NFL right now, and it's bad. I mean, it's bad. If you mean, the Bo Nix, Drake Mays, Caleb Williams with the Bears. I know that's a sore little topic, but if you watched him against the Packers the other night, I mean, if you got one of those guys, you're like, thank God. But if your teams like Cleveland, Miami looks like they're going to cut Tua. If you're one of those teams looking for your quarterback, Minnesota's a little all over the place with McCarthy.
Shador gonna be okay though. I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to be on the Sanders
No,
bandwagon.
that you could be right about that, but the problem with Shador, it may not be Shador, it may be that franchise.
Yeah, franchise's ass. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying that if you're one of those typical teams that's always looking for quarterback help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're in that rotation, like Kansas City needs quarterback help now. I don't know if Tyler Shuck is going to go out for the Saints. He might. It's weird, but either way, if you're someone like the Rams and Stafford had to bounce back here, so you think you can get 2 years out of him, and you got a good roster, and you're like, well, that Mateer guy, if we could just rehab what he's doing mechanics wise, there's a leadership and tangible stuff that he's got. He's got that, as opposed to some guys, who just don't. And you could say if I think if a GM gives Mateer's representation a commitment that he'll be drafted, a lot of this happened in the NBA a lot, right? With the one and done guys, right? You're like, why is that guy going in the draft? And you'd hear like the draft expert guy saying, there's a GM that's promised and they're going to pick him up, and they would be drafted at the end of the first round. So I think if you see Mateer leave, it's because a NFL GM has promised him they'll take him third or fourth round, stash him, and they have a plan to rebuild his mechanics but they need him now to do it to rebuild it. Staying in the college game isn't going to fix what's wrong with him. That's where I think that's the fear that's where I think Mateer ends up leaving. But I could be completely wrong on that. But I've heard it from several places now. And I just wonder if John views his LSU and Bama games where he was healthier, he was throwing the ball better. I'm not talking decision making, but throwing the ball better. That maybe to fix what's wrong with him, he can't do it in the college game.
Lone Wolf, go ahead, save this live, and while you're at it, like, subscribe to all 3 channels.
I mean, guys. I'm completely willing to admit I'll be wrong, but I'm just telling you, I've heard it several places now that his representation and his people are thinking about this move.
What's up, Coach Smooth? Yeah, no, Kyle wants Hawkins to be your guy, and just the thing, you and Jason are at odds all the time, and then boom, you say something that he's been saying all along. Regardless, though, I'll say this: Chris Mason, what?
If he leaves, they're picking up somebody from the portal.
That's what I was about to say.
They're taking that
what world do we live in? Who's the guy in the portal right now that you say, okay, Mateer announces tomorrow that he's going to declare for the NFL draft? Who is the guy? Who are the 2 guys in the portal? Obviously, you have Hawkins still here. Who is the guy? Who are the 2 guys that you say, hey, one of those 2 guys need to be on campus competing for this open QB spot?
Well, you've got Mateer's money slot, and maybe you rally some other money, and you try and see if I don't think this 3-5 million nonsense is really real. I think that's just agents throwing shit out there.
Yeah, that is.
So and it could be 2-year contracts, whatever. I would see if Sam Levitt's interested, and I would probably take a flyer on maybe he's not in the portal yet, but maybe you take a flyer on Austin Simmons.
I'll be honest with you. I was telling my uncle the other night. I think Sam Levitt's game is probably the friendliest out of all the quarterbacks to this system. I think Rocco Becht can run this system. I think that he can run it effectively,
Yeah,
and
but he's
yeah,
gonna
he's
Penn
a
State.
willing passer. That's why I kind of marked him off of my list.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention him either because he's gonna Penn State.
I also told my uncle, I said, there's two other guys. One, I think Lagway is a guy that could come in here and he could set the world on fire. We know what he can do if he's held if he stays upright. And you're not necessarily going to have a lot of QB run and different things for him because I think you're going to be able to have a run game next year. But I told him also another name, and you probably gonna laugh at me about this, but I said he's a guy that's not going to go out there and wow you in my mind. He's not gonna hurt you, and he's gonna make the best play happen, and he's going to find guys open. But I was like, hell, if you wanted to, you could look at Josh Hoover from TCU. I was like, he's not a bad quarterback.
Indiana,
I know
Indiana. But yeah,
I,
I'm with you. I don't think
I feel that too.
that's a
I'm
bad
just
idea
saying,
at all.
I'm just like,
I mean, also, what is Nagy? What is Nagy? Nagy's been scouting and evaluating guys. In the beginning of this year, the Michigan game, if Nagy didn't have a list of quarterbacks that he wanted, he wasn't starting to get quarterbacks, after the Michigan game, if he wasn't starting to get a list of QBs he wanted to scout and evaluate in the portal, then he's not doing his job because, we all thought maybe Mateer was one and done after the Michigan game. Like, oh,
yeah,
okay, he's one and done. So, I mean, Chris, Bo Nix went to Oregon and we were all laughing at it.
yeah.
I mean, we all thought that was a terrible decision, that Lanning was out of his effing mind. And then Bo had 2 great years at Oregon, and now he's the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos, who were like, I don't know, 11-4 or something like that. I know they lost last night they lost to the Jags, who actually are Jags. That's actually the part of their nickname. So I think there's a good chance that if Mateer leaves, all of a sudden everything that's the Oklahoma QB slot, and then we're saying, well, Hoover's going to Indiana or Beck's going to Penn State, but if the OU spot opens up and Nagy's on the phone with with agents and and families, all of a sudden, someone could be like, well, I was going here, but now the OU job's opened up. They got a loaded defense. They're playing well in the SEC, and they're picking up guys in the portal left and right. I'm going there. So I think it does change the actual mechanics if the job is actually open as to who might actually really be interested. I mean, if you're Josh Hoover, maybe OU being open is like, oh, well, I could do that instead and not have to go to Bloomington, frickin' Indiana, and play Big Ten football. I'll go to the SEC, or go to OU, and I'll prove my case there. So I think it changes greatly if the spot actually opens up. We'll see. Mateer was talking, I'm going to take the next couple of weeks and figure out what I'm doing. Son, by 1-2, Nagy by New Year's Eve, Nagy needs an answer. Now,
Chris Mason. Hey, honestly, before that,
well, I mean, if he's,
hey,
if he's
December 26th by this Friday, 3 p.m. I need to know what's going on, man.
so and if he's not saying yes, then it's a no, and you're
Yeah,
getting your plans ready, right? You're okay. If you're not saying you're coming back, then you're leaving. But you can't leave me hanging. If I'm Nagy, I'm like, son, I need an answer and I need a deadline because I got others. If I gotta go get a quarterback, I gotta know right now. I mean, the Byram kid is gonna USF. I don't know what I feel about him
at
overall.
USF, he's going to Auburn.
He's gonna Auburn. He's gonna go play for Golish. That's what I would say. But
I don't know who the Bodie kid is. I know that
Bodie,
Smoke put him in here. Smoke, if you're still here, you may want to run some.
let us know who that guy actually is.
We'll,
Let us know who that actually is if you can.
yeah, we'll circle back to it.
We can circle back to it. So I mean, do you? There are mixed opinions on him. I know, but if OU needs a quarterback, do you all of a sudden get in the way of Drew Mestamaker going to OSU and pull him in?
I mean, it's still the same. It's kind of the same. You're pulling him up from there,
Yeah.
from North Texas. Obviously, I like him in the Big 12, but I don't know. First year, he's a former walk on. This and that. I don't know.
Alabama State's quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that would fly. But my brother said, go get the. Is it Ferris State? Did they win again?
Yeah, they won again.
Go get their quarterback. you
I
know,
mean,
you
that's the
know,
whole thing. I'm gonna watch some tape. Smoke, if you got some highlights film or something like that,
yeah, send us
DM us.
over. Yeah. So I think that's who OU could get. I think in the abstract is very different than OU has an open spot, has cash to spend, and an open spot on a preseason top 10 team. We're, I think, yeah, I know Jenna, he was from Ferris State, but Ferris State just won the championship again. So we were wondering who their new championship quarterback is. Since Trinidad Chambliss worked out so well, or maybe, you can't mind that twice in a row, but whatever. But overall, I think it's in the abstract. You're kind of wondering who you could get. If it actually became open, that's a whole different picture of who you could possibly get.
All right, Chris Mason. Hey, look. This is a recruiting podcast. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it from each side. Chris Mason never give you fluff. Never give you any of that dumb stuff. He's always giving you the
I'm
actual.
just telling you what I'm hearing that his folks are considering going in the draft based upon the feedback they're getting from the NFL about the suck ass 2026 draft class.
But Chris Mason, let's go ahead and move away from that. I know you got a little bit of recruiting, been on here for damn near an hour. I didn't even realize that. But
Yeah.
go ahead and hit us with some of these 2027 notes that you have and so on and so forth.
All right, well, I'll leave you guys with a delicious après dinner note. Okay, so first off, Steve Wiltfong's like covering OU football recruiting like no one else right now. It's bizarre. He indicates that OU is in line to be in the perhaps final group, maybe leading with Quinton Hale, 2027 California wide receiver, absolute stud, top 50 in the nation, maybe a 5-star guy, big receiver. You combine him with Damari Duzerne and Jaden Pettit and Ja'Seer Rogers, and you're talking about some serious effing talent at wide receiver. Then the other guy is a big receiver from Vegas, Damani Warren, 2027 top 100 on ESPN, 6'4", 205. I think he plays where Javante Barnes played in high school. So, Chris, those are two big wide receivers that could change the OU wide receiver class for 2027. So, you've got Duzerne, you've got Trayvon Hall, who is a smaller Mark Clayton kind of guy, cut, good ability, and then you've got Duzerne, speedster, all over the field. So if you got a big guy to that group, that looks really good. All right, so Chris, here's the juicy nugget. Cooper Witten was at the Bama game. He was at our playoff game.
Oh, okay.
The 5-star linebacker, number 1 defensive recruit on the OU board, was at our playoff game.
Interesting.
With his dad. His dad obviously brought him to it. And they were having a very good time at the game, along with several other big-time recruits whose names I'm working on getting. And before anybody asks, are you sure about that? Yes. I have direct evidence proving that on that. So Cooper Witten was supposed to be down at A&M and OU. Some folks thought he was leaning to A&M. Well, he wasn't at the A&M Miami game. He was at the OU Bama game. And if you were at that game, you know OU put on a hell of a show. Great crowd, great atmosphere. All right, Boomer 129. I have said behind the scenes and on live streams that I could easily see Jason Witten being the next OU tight end coach. It makes a lot of sense on a number of levels, not just because of his kid. If you put his kid aside, it still makes a lot of sense. He's a Dallas high school coach, has contacts all throughout Dallas. That doesn't hurt OU. And the gravitas he would bring as a tight end coach to top recruits makes so much sense. I mean, if he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, it's going to be second or third.
Yeah.
And if he if and we have a and we have a veteran tight end coach on campus that can help him get up to speed on coaching at the tight end level, coaching tight ends at the college level, and that's Kevin Wilson. So he's connected with good friends with DeMarco Murray, good friends with the whole coaching staff. He's constantly at OU's summer camps bringing up kids. There's a lot of easy connections where this could make sense. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I'm not. Maybe Joe John Finley is unfireable because he has photos of Brent playing poker with Satan. I don't know. So I just don't know where that goes. But that would make a lot of sense to me. And regardless of that, a 5-star number one guy on your board on defense was at your playoff game. And I don't think in any way, shape, or form that's a bad thing.
Not at all. Not at all.
And no one else in the recruiting world has told you that. It's not else available anywhere else. So
Any other news, Chris Mason?
now we'll hit some high school stuff when the All-Star games kick off in January because sounds like we're gonna have 2 or 3 commitments happening then.
All right. Well, Chris Mason, we've been on here for about an hour. We had talked about it all from portal entries to portal targets to the jump.
It'll be jumping next week.
Yeah, the jump.
Next Monday's portal combat will be heavy.
Excluding Thursday. If anything pops tomorrow, if anything pops Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever, we'll figure out a time to come on here and try to give you details about what's going on. So don't think that this is just going to be a one and done. We're not just going to be doing the show weekly. We'll figure it out to try to get an episode out about
If there's some breaking news on Mateer or Kip, we'll be back.
Exactly. So, Chris Mason, anything else?
Nothing. That's all I got.
All right, people, look, like, subscribe, do all that stuff for all 3 channels. You got the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason, of course. Jason and the coach, shout out to the coach. And then you got the Horns Down Podcast with me. You got Sooners 360 with Chris Mason, the Patreon over there as well. Look, people, no fluff, real stuff, all facts, just trying to get to it. Obviously, we're going to throw projections out there. Right now, with what you've been saying, I'm kind of on the fence of like, man, well, maybe Mateer should go. I don't know. Right now, people, it's time because Team 132 is coming, and I'm excited for
And
it.
it's going to be a preseason top 10 team, depending on what happens.
OU has a true window right now. I know at some point we're going to have to rebuild and restart and retool and all the rest of that, right? But at the same time, Chris Mason, this is a championship window for this team, and so I want to see the right moves be made in the portal. But I'm going to take a leap of faith. I already know I got faith in Brent. In Brent Venables and the rest of the crew. Take a leap of faith and have faith in Nagy as well. So, with that being said, people, we are going to see you on the other side.